What's going on, guys? It's your boy Woods, the QDL Coach of the West Virginia Noctowls, with my Week 9 match for the QDL. I think I said last week that I had a bye week clinched at this point, but I was actually wrong. I only said that because I thought it was a 10-week season, but turns out it is actually an 11-week season, so I could technically lose out and lose my bye week spot. So I am going to give her the old college try this week, contrary to prior belief. But we are playing Lock on Stark this week, who is coach of the Valhalla Vulpixes, and he's running Screens HO. So that's an interesting thing to try to go into to play. He even has like lead extra drill and all of that. Where the only downside to something like this is the only bulk he really has on his team would be like Suicune or maybe Greedent. But I don't really think Greedent's probably going to be coming all that often, although it should, because Greedent is a god. I'm also hiding his little mascot Vulpix down here. Again, Vulpix and Greedent should probably be just like taking up the whole screen, but oh well. But yeah, stuff like Zeraora and Blacephalon could be really good endgame cleaners, and then like Scarfers and like just speed control and all that, and then the rest of his team is pretty much just set up spam under screens, and I'm gonna try to sweep you with all 5 of my other mons that are Ninetales kind of deal. So game plan this week, we have, starting off, we got max special attack modest but kind of bulky expert belt Heatran, flash cannon plus earth power plus nature power are very good coverage against this team. Nature power, of course, under the grassy terrain that my Bulu sets will become energy ball, which will be nice for hitting his Suicune and Groudon. But outside of those two, earth power plus flash cannon pretty much hits his entire team. I think I actually hit almost everything on his team super effectively, except for like his low tiers. But like all of his top 6, I do hit super effectively with those 3 moves. So expert belt will be coming in clutch. And this is something that could be a pretty decent check to Blacephalon. Of course, I don't resist Shadow Balls or anything like that, so it is not a great, it's not the perfect check, but it's also pretty much my only check to Butterfree, as weird as that sounds. Butterfree actually kind of tears through my team. And I do have to be careful because Butterfree, of course, does get Sleep Powder too, so if he gets a Sleep status on my Heatran, I'm kind of just screwed. Butterfree could actually just sweep through my entire team. Past that, we have physically defensive Tapu Bulu, who is running Horn Leech and Rock Slide as its coverage moves, which is pretty much enough to hit his entire team. We do have the Miracle Seed to be boosting those Horn Leeches, but the physical defense is so that this thing is able to check Groudon as well as Zeraora. Synthesis is, of course, there to be able to keep my thing healthy, but I think long term that's not really going to be all that reliable because he does have Hail, and Synthesis, of course, does not recover as much as it normally would under Hail. But I do think that the Miracle Seed boosted Horn Leeches and the grassy terrain and all that is going to keep my Bulu healthy enough for the game. Pretty much all of my speed creeps, by the way, are either for admin max speed Groudons or I'll get into the specifics for my faster mons, but it's probably, I think, my Haxor speed creep is for Excadrill, and then my Greninja is for his whole team, which would be, I think, Ninetales is his fastest thing that isn't Zeraora, which I'm never going to be able to outspeed Zeraora, but that is okay because Tapu Bulu is going to shut it down pretty well, I think. The only thing that Zera could really hit Bulu with is Iron Tails, and even then it does not 2-hit KO me unless he's banded or something like that. So past that, we have Dragon Dance Haxorus, which is my potential endgame sweeper. His only +1 outrage answer would really be Ninetales' Alola, because it, of course, is immune, but I am able to OHKO with the Poison Jab if I'm not already locked in the Outrage, and then Excadrill is also going to be able to tank an Outrage if he's healthy, but I think Outrage does still do a ridiculous amount of damage with the Dragon Fang boost and all of that. I would think that a physically defensive Suicune and Greedent also are going to be able to tank one, but I don't really know what Greedent does back to Haxorus, and I could potentially still beat Suicune one-on-one because the only thing he could really do to me is Scald Burn. I mean, Ice Beam's probably going to be doing a lot too, but I don't think it kills. So, going past our Haxorus, we have a Life Orb Greninja set this week, running a fair amount of special defense because this really is my best Blacephalon answer, being able to resist its dual stab. Could also be an okay switch into Suicune, because I don't really have a dedicated Suicune switch in this week, so it's something that could eat Scalds and stuff and not really care all that much, and be able to do a bunch of damage with Grass Knot, because Surf plus Grass Knot is really great cover because the only things on his team that really eat his Surf are his water types, so Grass Knot is going to be able to 2-hit KO most Suicune and Crawdonts. I think it's even pretty close to Oko and Crawdont, but not quite. And then we do have Water Shuriken to be able to revenge kill any of his setup sweepers, which he does have plenty of. So I got to keep that in the back if he gets up like Quiver Dances with Butterfree or gets a Rapid Spin boost with his Excadrill. Also nice for just Aurora in general. Spikes are also there because his entire team, with the exception of Butterfree, is grounded, so Spikes have a very good matchup this week, being able to break any potential focus sashes and stuff as well. So past that, we do have a physically defensive Swampert. This thing is specifically here to be able to take on his Excadrill, because Excadrill is big enough of a threat that I think it warrants me bringing a specific Mon just to be able to counter it. High Horsepower is generally pretty spammable against this team as well. I do have the Toxic there to be able to hit his bulkier Mons like Suicune and Butterfree, who's immune to High Horsepower with. It is also my rocker for the same reason that Spikes are good. Stealth Rocks are also very good, just being able to break stashes and do whatever for the week, and then Roar so that stuff like Suicune or whoever else can't really just set up on me for free. Finally, our last one here is a anti-Aurora Veil Gallade set. This thing is really specifically here to bait in Ninetales or something like that, because I am going to be able to eat any attack that Ninetales goes for pretty well, because I am pretty bulky, and I do have the Roselli Berry, so Moonblast is only going to be doing half damage. And if he decides to get up an Aurora Veil Brick Break, of course, is going to be able to break that, because I think not allowing Aurora Veil to get up is one of my bigger priorities in the early game. Rock Slide coverage is just there to be able to hit his Brick Break switch-ins, which would be Blacephalon, as well as Butterfree. And then Leaf Blade just to be able to hit that Suicune a little harder because it is so bulky. But with that, we'll get into the game here. I am just going to lead with my Gallade because, like I said, I really don't want to let him get Veil up, and I think Ninetales is a pretty likely lead. So he does actually lead Crawdont instead, which is pretty good for me because I'm going to be able to scare it out with my Gallade anyway, and I'm just going to go for a Brick Break because it is pretty free this turn. He does go into Ninetales, which is exactly what I wanted him to do, so that's perfect for me. He decides to try to get a Veil up, thinking that maybe I'm going to be scared of a Moonblast or whatever, but I'm just going to Brick Break a second time though, and then I'm going to be able to live whatever this thing's going to do. And I'm going to pretty much disable his Aurora Veil for the whole game, which is a really big deal now. I decided to stay in on the Blacephalon Revenge kill because A, I actually had a pretty good chance of living a Shadow Ball if he wasn't Specs or Life Orb or something like that. And also B, because Gallade pretty much did all it needed to this week. It was specifically here to not let him get Aurora Veil up. Ninetales is no longer here, so yeah, I pretty much job well done from Gallade there already. But he is going to pick up the kill on me with a Shadow Ball from Blacephalon. I'm going to go to my Greninja, who has a pretty free Revenge kill because he doesn't really have a switch into this thing. So I could just freely click Surf, and I am going to get the KO on Blacephalon, which again is huge because Blacephalon is probably the thing that I had the least amount of switch-ins to. Greninja was really my only pseudo-check, but Greninja, of course, is pretty frail, so he could only really spot a switch-in maybe one time. I guess E-Train could also maybe do a little bit, but generally speaking, Blacephalon is a big threat, so I'm glad to get it out of the way. As he goes Crawdont to Revenge kill me. I was so tempted to just stay in on this thing and click Grass Knot, but I knew that Grass Knot was probably not going to kill. Although, with the extra Hail Chip or whatever, I don't think I think a Hail ended, so yeah, I knew that Grass Knot probably wasn't going to kill, and I wanted to keep my Greninja healthy because he could potentially have like a superpower or something like that, and Greninja is my dedicated revenge killer to his setup threats. So I do have an entire Bulu in the bag just to be able to come in on this thing and do pretty much beat whatever it wants to do, as he does set up a Dragon Dance. He's going to set up another one, which I know even at +2, I'm going to be able to live any hit that this Crawdont does. I just bring him down to his Focus Sash with Horn Leech, which is a-okay with me, because even if he's running like a Tech Avalanche or something like that, I'm going to be able to eat that. But he does go for Crunch. He doesn't have anything to hit my Bulu with, and he's going to do no damage. I'm just going to be able to clean this thing up with a Horn Leech. He is able to get in his Butterfree now, though, so I have to play a little carefully around his Butterfree, because like I said in Team Builder, I can't really let my Heatran get swept by this thing. I know that he's either going to click Quiver Dance or Sleep Powder this turn, so I decided to just stay in and bring this one down to its sash as well with the Rock Slide. which ends up being pretty nice for me. Now I'm just going to sack my Haxorus essentially because I think it's the least useful member on my team. But I do actually live the Bug Buzz, which is a big deal because he decides to go for a Sleep Powder on this turn, and realistically, this is better for me to get slept than for him to just kill me, because now that Sleep Clause is active, and I know that my Heatran cannot get slept because my Haxorus is, I could just go into it for free now, because it's going to be taking no damage from anything that Butterfree wants to go for. Because he's going to set up a second Quiver Dance, but even at +2, I'm taking no damage from anything Butterfree's going to want to do to me. But he does reveal the Air Slash, so he could have potentially flinched down my Heatran, which would have been a little scary, even though I did have the Water Shuriken in the back, but I am able to just get through the first Air Slash and kill with a Flash Cannon. So he's going to go in his Excadrill. I have, again, Swampert in the back specifically to switch into this thing. So he's going to get a Rapid Spin Speed Boost to try to go for a reverse sweep with this Excadrill. He's going to set up a Swords Dance as he reveals to also be Sash. At this point, I'm thinking he probably brought a Mono Sash team, which I think is kind of interesting with, because he has a little Ninetales Hail to break all his own Sashes, and I don't really get what the point of setting up Veil is if you're just going to have all your pawns sashed anyway, but with that, he could potentially get a kill here if he gets like a crit with Earthquake, but he doesn't. I'm able to just land a second high horsepower and take him out. Again, even if he did crit me, I still had that Water Shuriken in the back to be able to revenge kill it, so not all that big of a deal. I know this game's pretty much a wrap, so I'm just going to stay in with my Swampert knowing that he can't set up on it anyway, and he's just going to kill me with a Grass Knot. I'm going to go into my Bulu, who again is specifically here to be able to beat the Zeraora, and I'm just going to take this thing out with a couple of Horn Leeches. So with that, we move on to 9-0 this season. We do actually clinch the bye week this time. This time I'm confident that we do have the bye week locked down, and on top of that, we also moved into number 1 in the standings this week, which is pretty cool. As long as I got the bye week, I didn't really care, but being number 1 in the standings is also a nice little bonus to add on there. So next couple of weeks, I'm probably just going to be screwing around with some funner sets, since I don't really need the wins. But yeah, well, with that, we will see you next week.